Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. So he first showed up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Kenneth Branagh's 2011 movie Thor. There was that little shot of him reaching for a sniper rifle, and then he goes, "Oh wait, I'm Hawkeye," and grabs a bow and arrow. And in that movie, he doesn't actually shoot an arrow. It's just one of those very comic-esque cameos. Kind of a way to expand the universe and being like, oh, they're all in the same space. They can kind of jump into each other's stories. But Hawkeye, of course, never having his own solo film, has kind of been relegated to a supporting character, but not even in the same way, say, like Natasha Romanoff, or like maybe even arguably Wanda Maximoff or Vision. He's kind of been an underdog, and I think that kind of the way they're selling Hawkeye is as the normal one of the group. So I found it really interesting when Kevin Feige was talking about the lack of Hawkeye in any of the Infinity War promotions, saying, this is actually the best thing that's happened to him because now everyone's talking about him. But when you look back to like the source material of how Hawkeye's been handled, I am always wondering, I'm always asking myself the question, is Hawkeye the best Hawkeye he could be in the MCU? Does he need fixing? And if so, how do we fix Hawkeye? Once again, I'm Chris. I'm joined by Izzy.
Hello.
Anthony.
What's up?
And this is the second episode of AP Marvel. Because this is not dependent on news exactly, it's not time dependent. We figured out we could just stack these episodes and just record them whenever we want to and release them weekly. So
Depends. Some of them we will.
Oh yeah, we'll see. We'll see down the future.
We'll do like an Ant-Man one.
Sure, yeah, like Ant-Man the Wasp, hot takes on AP
takes.
Marvel. No, we're not calling it that.
love it. Anyway,
so we were recording this literally right after the first episode, which I hope you listen to. So Hawkeye. Talk to me about your impression of him when you saw him, not in Thor, but rather his first big role in the first Avengers movie by Joss Whedon.
I thought, like, he stood out to me because I think for that fact, he was a normal guy. He was a guy who just, like, shot arrows. And also, Jeremy Renner has, like, a nice accent. That's just me.
Sure, okay.
You mean his voice? He doesn't have an accent.
Yeah, just his voice is, like, a good accent.
You like his voice. Like
yes.
the sound
Okay,
of his voice.
that's a good quality to it.
It's a good actor voice.
Sure, yeah.
But I think that I feel like underdog is not the best word to describe because I think I define underdog as someone who's yes, he has the odds down him, but he rises up in the end. But does Hawkeye ever really rise up in the end? Like this sounds like a mean question, but does he ever
that's
has his
legit.
share of the spotlight? Like, he really acts more of like a mentor. Throughout the films we've seen, like he acts as a mentor figure to Wanda almost, like throughout the Age of Ultron, sort of in Civil War. I think, nope, that's Infinity War territory. I'll stop there.
Okay. Because he doesn't, because we can't, the fact that we skipped to Age of Ultron right immediately, like, that kind of goes to show his role in the first Avengers film.
Yeah, I mean, like, his role in the first Avengers film was, like, bad guy.
He was brainwashed for the majority of the screen
of
time.
the film.
Yeah, which Jeremy Renner did not seem very happy about
No.
in interviews.
I was happy about it.
Yeah. And
he could have shot arrows, like, behind his back.
yeah,
that's like sick.
It's interesting to me that he was, and this concept didn't really come to me until literally just seconds ago. But he was kind of Natasha's damsel in distress.
Yeah,
like Natasha is very focused on this debt that she supposedly,
which we have not talked about.
which he allegedly owes Clint.
Yes, but like it's never. We don't know why.
I think just the exposition was whatever. I don't know why
everyone talks about Budapest.
I don't know why they're so obsessed about that.
Because it's a very funny line.
Yeah, because it's just
where
like...
he's just like, you and I remember Budapest very differently.
Yeah. It's one of those standard, like, oh, these unseen adventures that you'll never know about. And then, of course, the audience just kind of, like, fills in the blanks. Which is always a fun thing, but I've always been weirded out by the obsession specifically over Budapest.
It's good fandom content, because you're like, what happened in Budapest between Natasha and Clint? Mm-hmm. It sets up a really interesting dynamic that the fandom can play upon, like, just outside while we're waiting.
It just builds the universe.
Exactly.
So that was an interesting thing, that kind of, like, expanding that backstory a little bit. But in terms of character, could you describe Hawkeye's personality as presented in the first Avengers movie?
Well, we can only see him the first 2 minutes. There's 2 minutes in the beginning, and then there's the 15 minutes at the end.
Mm-hmm.
He's loyal.
He's
The silence speaks volumes.
Yes.
He's 12 hours later.
Here's some things that I extrapolated from the film, having rewatched it for Infinity War this week.
I as well. Fair.
So there's this bit when like, what's his face? Selvig is like, oh, the Hawkeye's in his nest as usual. And Hawkeye's like, I see better from a distance. And then when Nick Fury is kind of like asking him for an update on what's been going on with the Tesseract, and he kind of gives this out of the box answer, like, it didn't come from this end, and Nick Fury's like, what are you talking about? Oh, it's like a gateway, right? So doors come both ways. So
from what I'm saying, sorry for interrupting you.
Sure.
So he's smart. He understands nuance. He understands. He can put pieces together, but he's very reclusive. Mm-hmm. And you see that with his family being literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good connection.
He's a very reclusive person. He's up in his nest.
I still think it's funny when Loki brainwashes him, he just says, "You have heart." Like, that's the... Well, okay, yes, Hawkeye's a good person. Thanks for spelling that out for us.
He's a hero, so, like, no shit.
Anti-heroes exist.
Yeah. I did like this detail that someone pointed out. Like, when he shoots a pistol, he, like, has his arm extended like that, like he's
wingspan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
because he's the bow and arrow guy.
But he's also a Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So he has his wings out.
Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, so
the bird puns are gonna be great.
Oh no.
No bird puns. Just bow puns.
So he comes to eventually in the third act of the film when they're shooting up the aliens, and I cannot say that Hawkeye displayed any interesting character traits. Like, he definitely has a grudge against Loki for the whole brainwashing thing. Like, Thor's like, I have a score to settle with Loki, and, like, Hawkeye's like, yeah, get in line. And there's, like, this very, like, boring delivery. And, he's just up on that rooftop. He's just, shooting arrows. And, like, there's that one shot where he, like, shoots someone backwards. And yeah, so, like, little like, visual moments like that, but nothing in terms of expanding on the character.
Yeah. I was going to mention, like, sorry to cut you off. I was going to mention he's a cool, like, visual character. Like, you said, those shots you're talking about where he falls down and shoots up. That scene where he shoots backwards, like, and you see something exploding. He's a very, like, he's an action star. I remember his most prominent role before the Avengers being, like, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where he was...
No, that wasn't before.
That was before.
Yeah, it was.
It was before?
Yeah, buddy.
Ghost Protocol was 2011.
That was 2011, my
Jesus
dude.
Freaking Christ.
It's a great movie. Great movie.
No, I didn't know. I thought that came after.
No, Jeremy Renner has... I feel like he's always been a second banana in, like, Jeremy Renner's your guy to fill in for your action franchise.
I even remember Jeremy Renner. I think
what other movies has he
Mission
been?
Impossible, Born Legacy are, like, the main two examples.
But what was he before those things?
But I mean, Hurt Locker was his big...
before Hurt Locker.
No, I mean, like, post Hurt Locker, post having 2 Oscar nominations, he just became that guy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I can't think of too many Jeremy Renner films off the top of my head, to be honest.
But I just want to point out, this isn't Jeremy Renner's fault. Jeremy
Maybe he just has a bad agent.
I don't think. Well, no, I'm saying I don't think Hawkeye is Jeremy Renner's fault.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
It's not his acting at all.
He's funny. He's just. I think he's just a quiet character. I think that he should have built upon that.
So, maybe I'm jumping a little too ahead because I wanted to talk about comics Hawkeye versus MCU Hawkeye. And I'm not that well versed in the comics, but I have some, having read a couple of essential stories.
Did you read George Miller?
What?
There's a George Miller Hawkeye comic.
George Miller?
I think so.
As in, like, Mad Max George Miller?
No, not that George Miller. The guy who does the Dark Knight comics.
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller. Oh my God.
I know.
For the longest time, I knew that there was a difference, but for some reason in my head, in the past, not now, like a few years ago, I always thought that George Miller, the guy who directed Mad Max, also directed the Daredevil comic series and the Dark Knight comic series.
Sin City. Who can forget that classic Sin City line? Witness me. I don't know. I think the most famous run of Hawkeye's comic was the Matt Fraction run, where he's
2012 after the Avengers.
Yeah, do you want to expand on what exactly was in that specific run?
So I haven't. Sorry. But basically, it was a more updated, like casual, relaxed Hawkeye. I've read like some pages from it. I haven't read like a full volume, but I know it was very well received.
Yeah.
They added Kate Bishop as a sort of side character has transitioned into a female Hawkeye. I don't know if she has a specific. I think she's
like a protege kind of.
Yeah, essentially. I don't know if she has like another superhero alias, but I know like she's Hawkeye, but does Kate Bishop, and she's included in the story. But it's a lot more. He's a much more like relaxed guy. I feel like he reminds me like I feel like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye reminds me of like what Jeremy Renner could be, and like what maybe Jeremy Renner is outside of like the MCU's The Avengers.
Yeah.
Like outside of his like acting life, that might be what Jeremy Renner is like. And I think the look is also modeled a lot, but I think that's been inevitable since the MCU has started, like as you've seen like through Black Theory and all that. But that's a different discussion. But it is his most popular run, and it's also gaining a lot of traction still today, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, he just like lives by himself in like an apartment building, I think, and it's
dog. He has quotes like, "Oh, car, no, I don't under."
Yeah, it's like this very offbeat kind of thing, and it's kind of very self-aware of like his role as the bow and arrow guy in this world of like gods and superheroes and whatnot. Which, if you're a Hollywood executive, that might not make for a good solo movie. But I've always gotten the impression that comics Hawkeye was the snarky, quippy one.
I think.
Whereas in the MCU, it's Tony Stark.
Exactly. I think, like, I would argue your point that there could have been a Hawkeye movie, but it's Ant-Man in the sense it's like, it could have been like a regular, like, normal guy, but then you bring in Ant-Man instead, where it is like a regular, normal guy with a different set of powers. But instead, they chose to introduce a new character rather than like expand
Ant-Man's powers are much more significant than a guy who can shoot bow and arrows.
They're definitely like visually, like high concept. Like this guy can shrink is more interesting than this guy is really good at shooting things.
I mean,
this guy's an archer.
Yeah. I think it would have been like one of the big ways.
Remember Hunger Games? No.
One of the big ways to really fix it. He needs a thing. He needs like a thing.
What is that? What is
he
a
needs
thing?
a thing other than shooting bow and arrows.
Like a character thing. Like he
needs to be like an alcoholic.
Captain America is the leader. Hulk is Hulk. Anger.
Hawkeye has a family and a farm.
What a great transition.
It was very thrown in there, and who cares?
Well, ooh. Those are very definitive. Oh.
I will take the other side.
I mean, I like the family.
Sure.
I think they're cool. I have some opinions that are spoilerific. We'll add that to the end.
Yeah, but what were we about to say, Izzy?
I will take the other side in, there were arguments, and like we've mentioned this in the class that we've all taught, or for me currently teach, that Hawkeye's family adds a different layer of dimension to him. It emphasizes his sort of shtick as a normal guy, and it makes you really care for him.
But it also fits with the rest of the movie. The rest of the Age of Ultron is the most normal we see the rest of the Avengers. Them hanging out, they're out drinking, like they're hanging out, they're just having
They're a
fun
unit.
with their friends.
Yeah.
They're bonding. They're having friendly bonds and stuff. They're not saving the world for some parts of it.
It's also like I know this is very unrelated, but it's also I think like speaking from the fandom like Tumblr perspective, because that's where I grew up and when this movie was announced, like when this movie was released, like that's kind of what fans wanted to see more of. Like I know one of my friends liked Age of Ultron more because of those moments,
Right.
and I did not, but I can see that's what people wanted. I think Josh Bean was sort of starting to grab into toward that, and also just trying to bring us back to Hawkeye. You see him as like I think one of the more quippy individuals and like has more screen time, but that's also because he was brainwashed for the entire first movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, it's most normal Avengers movie, but it seemed to argue that Hawkeye was the most normal Avenger. Because they had the whole Scarlet Witch gimmick where she kind of shows them their deepest fears and whatnot. And we never see Hawkeye's.
But he's also not the most normal Avenger.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I feel like
there was that Civil War line where he said, I played 18, shot 18, and it's like, who do you know?
I mean, just in terms of like just being a human being, just being a person down to earth.
Yeah.
Maybe not like by his like abilities, because like, of course, like no one can shoot stuff the same way he could in real life. Because there's that scene that he has with his wife, played by Linda Cardellini, where
What's her name?
I think it's Linda, right?
No,
It's
it's not Linda. Look it up.
oh dear God,
yeah.
Clint Barton's wife. No, please don't tell me that Linda Cardellini plays someone named
Laura
Barton.
But it started with an L.
Dear God.
We're close.
What are the kids' names?
Callum, Lewis, and Baby.
Oh,
That's comics.
That's comics.
Nathan, because it was
Look it up.
Nathaniel, because it was going to be Natasha,
Look it up in the movie.
but it turns out it was a dude.
Oh, it is Laura.
It is still Laura, so we were at that. His children are Cooper and Lila, and we have a third Nathaniel.
Yeah, Nathaniel Pietro Barton. So they have the scene where they're kind of in the bedroom, and they're literally looking outside the window and like, oh, you're like with these gods, but maybe they really need you. Like she's trying to argue that you are kind of the person who grounds these high up, these godlike individuals. I don't think we actually see that.
That's not really
in Age of Ultron.
compelling because she acts like any other love interest. Like you can see it with Pepper too, like how she's sort of telling Tony to stop, like come home, like relax, like stop making like all these suits. Like she.
No, I think what Chris is saying is like Hawkeye doesn't do what she's talking about. Like he doesn't ground them. He doesn't actually act upon that, right?
Okay.
That's what you were talking about?
Pretty much. I mean, like you don't see that register in like, that's something that would come up in that final act in Sokovia, and I don't think him saving the kid really has anything to do with
Grounding them.
Yeah, I mean that's just him like being an Avenger. That's just him being a hero and like being Wanda's mentor. Like maybe
I think the line specifically being said to Wanda was very nice and very good and helped ground Wanda in when she was panicking.
Yeah, but that's a different context because she's a newbie.
Exactly. I think there should have, if there was, the way to fix him is to ground him. And
he's already grounded though.
How do you ground him enough?
how do you
on the floor?
How do you express that to the other characters though? How do you add?
He
that
needs to interact with the other Avengers in a way
that expresses that.
Yeah,
yes.
and he I don't remember anything that he says to them.
Nope.
Like he barely interact. Like
every time in Age of Ultron, every time like a girlfriend came up or like they referenced girlfriend or wife related things, they were just like that was the only bit. That was the only joke.
Yeah, or like Tony Stark being like, "Oh, he's flatlining, call it," and then they're all like kind of joking about Clint Barton, like because they know he's okay, so they could just joke about his healing when he got shot in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which was just a way of introducing the idea of like
just
synthetic.
Fun. Yeah, and it was just funny.
Body.
And cute
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
And, like them hanging out.
But there's no meat to the relationships with anyone except for Natasha, because they already have a backstory with each other.
And I think they all understand his family now. Should we go into it? Because I think we need...
Oh, we already kind of started, so keep going.
We need to talk about it.
Well, let's talk about something else first, because...
You talk about something else, and then we have to go...
No, let's talk about some other things first.
I know. Talk about the other things, but then we have to go...
I will have a warning here. But, so let's kind of move on to Civil War, where, like, he was mainly a supporting character, and, when Wanda's like, what are you doing here? And it's like, disappointing my kids. Like, that's the point where I understood, like, oh, that's just his thing now. He's just the family man.
I like that. I think they should have made it bigger.
Sure.
Like, they should have had more interaction with that about the fact that
I did like his scene with Tony in the raft. Where, like,
the futurist, everybody.
The futurist is here. Yeah, like...
He sees all...
Yeah, like, that was a good Hawkeye scene. I honestly thought that was, like, one of the better Hawkeye scenes in the entirety of his appearances. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, I like
clever fun.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, so he is very he's very... I'm trying to find a word for it, but he's not very happy in that scene, which I really liked seeing that side to him towards Tony. And like Tony, but the thing that I didn't like about the scene was that Tony's like, oh, you got a family, why'd you pick sides like this? And Clint is literally like, blah, 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 like, literally, like, not listening to him, like, I can't hear you, which I thought was like, wait, that's a good point. Like,
I wanted to hear, like, your family is now, like, you're in jail, dude.
Screwing them up, man.
We don't know if Cap's gonna save you.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you gonna explain this to your family?
Yeah, and so, I guess just, like, abruptly transitioning to another thing, before we get to the thing. Hawkeye in the comics is hard of hearing.
Yes, that's right.
I did not know that.
That's right.
And I know there are a lot of fans out there who are disappointed that trait is not present in the MCU. So there's been this video kind of circulating around. I saw it on Twitter, where it's a Q&A, and this woman basically informs Jeremy Renner of this. Like, he's hard of hearing, he's deaf in the comics. And Jeremy Renner kind of jokes, like, when she asks him the question, he kind of goes, what? It's like, ha, because you're hard of hearing. So he kind of says, I didn't know that about the comics. That isn't how I would have played him. I really liked Hawkeye because he's just a regular guy. He's a normal guy. But, thank you for informing me of that. And that kind of rubbed a lot of people off the wrong way.
Jeremy Renner was involved in that whole, like, Black Widow, Age of Ultron thing.
How so? What are you...
I think in an interview, like, they were...
Don't worry, it's miles away.
Yeah, I saw the lightning. I saw a flash of light.
Oh,
and I was
so that's
like,
why y'all were turning. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw a flash of light, and I was just like, oh, I know what just happened. You don't... If you get Infinity War, you get what I mean.
Okay. Go on.
Yeah, so, you'll probably all remember the infamous, like, Black Widow controversy with just... A lot of stuff happened with Black Widow in the Age of Ultron, obviously. But there's a lot of controversy surrounding that, too. There's obviously the thing with, like, I'm a monster because I don't have a uterus argument. There was also, in an interview with, I think, Jeremy Renner and Chris Evans, like, I forgot the name of the news company.
I know what you're talking about. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay,
and the interviewer
I
asked,
forgot
like,
that this happened.
And the interviewer asked, like, oh, like, yeah, like, Black Widow, like, like, it's a lot, like, something about, like, Black Widow and, like, oh, fights a lot of men in this movie. And they were joking, yeah, she's, like, kind of a slut, and that was not okay.
Yeah. Jeremy.
What are you doing?
I think he learned. I think he learned to just be quiet.
That's true.
But also the movies made him quiet.
The mouth.
He has no choice.
But yeah, Jeremy Renner's been...
I think that if they made him deaf, it would have added much more character.
It's a big diversity statement that I think Marvel was not
having a disabled Avenger.
That too. I don't think they would have risked that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sad because
I mean, if they introduce
it's
Hawkeye
all
now,
money in the end.
If they introduce Hawkeye now, I think they would highly
they would definitely do it.
They would do it?
Yeah, hands down they would do it
Also,
if he introduced him now. Because of we have Daredevil. I mean, Daredevil,
okay,
that's the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I can see. This is a small aside. If they did, since they have, like, the X-Men back now, if they did Old Man Logan again, and they made Hawkeye blind...
They won't make Old Man Logan again.
And they won't make Old Man Logan.
Because Logan was already too good.
That's true.
Logan was already too good.
Logan was already perfect enough. Ignore me. But
if they do Old Man Hawkeye, which is actually a thing.
that would be kind of cool. But should we go into the? There was the one.
Or anything else anyone wants to say about anything we've talked about?
Should we wrap up non-spoilery points before we go into spoilery points?
That's one.
No, I'm just trying to think because there was something I wanted to say.
Give like bullet points, like what we.
Well, I mean, we just jumped into this, so I did not prepare for this episode.
Well, like, I think it's essentially just because, like, there's a comics version that's a very well-received Hawkeye, that's been released afterwards, that, like, has been more well-received, and maybe the movies have, like, impacted its success, but also, like...
It's very different, and it's not as...
So that just makes me confused on why they're not utilizing these source material elements.
Because he's only in the Avenger movies, and they wanted to cover the other parts of the Avengers.
And so he's just kind of getting the shot due to time. Is that really just the basis of it?
Time.
They added more of him in Age of Ultron, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. And even that, like, you can argue, like,
maybe
that it didn't.
Another big point.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the rest of the movie has so many flaws in it that it's like.
It's kind of a mess. It's all a mess.
I actually think Age of Ultron is more of a mess than Infinity War, and people will argue with me about that.
Don't at you.
Well, actually,
at the pizza taco.
I will discuss this in later.
Okay.
I think there is more coherence.
Anthony would not leave his bed this morning because I wanted him to take me to Chick-fil-A, but he kept getting into an argument about, and I don't know if it's an argument or a discussion about
Chick-fil-A and me. I know
accountability. Yes.
It's
out, everyone.
Chris forced me.
I did not. Okay, sure.
We're saying that Chris forced me.
I also owed Izzy some Chick-fil-A, so I'm bringing all of us down here.
We're all immoral people. I hate it. I just want the.
Yeah, episode 3 of AP Murder will be about the ethical responsibility of eating at Chick-fil-A or not.
So, Chris, do the little thing with whatever timestamp.
Yeah, I think it's time we kind of dive into Infinity War talk. So, if you don't want to know what happens in Infinity War, I would turn this off right now.
Wait, but
So, Hawkeye.
He ain't in it.
He ain't in this movie.
He ain't in
Infinity War.
He does not appear at all. We've been bamboozled.
Yeah, we've been Speckledorfed.
Sure, yeah, Speckledorf. Yeah, we have. He's not in it. Everyone was just like, "Where's Clint?" But no one's
Where's
asking.
Ant-Man? They're genuinely not in this movie.
Yeah,
everyone's asking, "Where's Clint?" But no one's asking, "How's Clint?"
How's
Clint?
Or
why is Clint?
Yes.
I'll do you one more. Why is Clint?
Yeah. Infinity War references. Hey.
No, it's where's Clint? Who is Clint? Sad. And why is Clint?
Yeah. So.
No, it's what's Gamora.
No,
he says. I thought he said what's.
Who?
Oh, he said who?
Yeah. So I feel like in the lead up to this, they were hinting that Hawkeye's got something to do. Like he goes through an interesting journey, is what he said. But whenever they're talking about these two Avengers movies, I can't tell which one they're talking about.
So since we already saw Infinity War, and they talked so much about this movie, I think that since they filmed it back to back, there's a lot of it that blended in their speeches, in their interviews, in their press interviews, in any talks that they had about this movie, any press comments. It all just got blended together, and I think.
They were saying they were trying to make this all they were trying to make it distinct, have a distinct.
Which I think it did.
It definitely did, but there were arguments
in regards to Thanos. But this is an Infinity War movie. This is something else. This is more about how Hawkeye is going to be in it. Yeah, it's still going. This is about how he's not in it and how we're going to maybe see him be fixed in the future.
Yeah.
Or how he could be a key role and how he might be fixed in Avengers 4.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So he's in house arrest.
He's on house arrest.
Something's happened. There are theories that something's happened to his family.
Well, let's figure out. What we know from Infinity War is that he's under house arrest.
There's a deal with the government.
Deal with the government. He's under house arrest. So we see him. We understand that he is at home. That's it. The events of Infinity War happen, and from what we hear from leaked on-set photos, we see him in a Ronin-like garb. So what
dude's got a mohawk-ish.
Yeah.
Nice
So what people are saying is that after the events of Infinity War, his family dies. His family gets taken by the snap, as I'm calling it. We're just saying the snap, the snapping. The snapping happens. A lot of our heroes are killed. It's very sad. I cried in the theater.
Everyone cried.
Cried in the theater.
If you didn't cry in the theater,
So
I'm all meds.
Ronin,
I haven't been able to cry for
Ronin
months, so.
is an alter ego of Hawkeye. It's an alter ego of Clint, but it's a more serious version of Hawkeye. That in the comics, Crossbone kills his family, and he goes basically on a revenge streak to hunt down Crossbones and take revenge for his family's death. In this case, we're saying that Laura and the kids or some combination of them are taken by the snapping, and he becomes Ronin, and then the surviving Avengers meet up with him, and his arc continues moving forward. I think what they should do with that information that I just presented with you is that he should be more about how the world is reacting to people disappearing, and what does it mean to
ground level reaction
to this. It's like I want to take revenge.
It'd be like, I think you'd almost turn him into Drax, because that's what Drax really is.
But Drax is a different character entirely. His whole thing is just being the literal guy.
Exactly, but their stories are very much the same, and Drax also has the tendency of just blending into the background. So I think you have
to make him different. You have to make him different and be aware of that.
Yes,
Chris,
you are what I was thinking when you were
explaining my speculation.
Yeah, when you were outlining that, they would basically be fridging his family, if you understand that term, fridging.
What does fridging mean?
So, the phrase "women in refrigerators."
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, so you're basically it's based on that Green Lantern story where Green Lantern comes into his apartment, his girlfriend has been murdered, and her body was stuffed into a refrigerator, and yeah, dude. So basically,
I'm doing a shock reaction.
Yeah, so that concept is you were just killing female characters for the advancement of the development of the male protagonist.
Which in this day,
but I mean, like, his kids are also would be taken.
Sure, I mean, like, you're still fridging the family.
Yeah,
like to me that is not that compelling.
Do you think that there is a way? So So just give us your take.
Okay. All right, let's workshop these stories. I have no idea, dude. I don't know, because I think we've kind of agreed that we like the comic version of Hawkeye better, but this MCU Hawkeye has been so split off from that there's no way to redirect that, and nor was that a great idea.
You can't redirect it. You can't just incorporate or really do anything more at this point, because also there's going to be a new slate of films that we don't really know about yet. Like all those, there are these films that have been announced, but you have to wait a year before you really solidify that, which is gonna suck. But I think even that is we might not even have a Hawkeye anymore. He might actually just die, which would be
he's not gonna die.
Which in the Avengers 4, honestly, he's not gonna. You say he's not gonna die, but look at this movie.
Yeah,
you can't really expect
but all these people are gonna come back.
Yes, but
the OG Avengers are left, so the current speculation is that they are going to do things in 4 that will basically sacrifice several or all of their lives for the new franchise potential.
I hope it's not Hulk, because I like Marvel.
Sure, yeah.
But like Cap could die, Thor could die.
I mean, I don't think when they get the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, they could literally do anything they want.
We'll see what happens in a year.
We'll see how they do it. They may not do it with the comics.
So it sounds like, I mean, so what is salvageable here? With the Hawkeye's
well, like understanding, like we don't know what's going to happen in Avengers 4, or as they call it,
Untitled Avengers film.
What they just called Avengers 4?
Because they didn't do the Avengers 3 and Avengers.
Yeah, you
2.
can't just like you can't Mario Kart 7 this where you have like cool subtitles and then like, oh, this one's just called 4. Oh wait, Avengers Forever.
Get the fuck out. Alright, we're done. Good night.
AP Marvel canceled.
You got a few more minutes.
Yeah.
So like I think we covered a lot of the main points.
Yeah, but like ultimate question, like, does Hawkeye need fixing, and can I mean sorry, because we don't have anything to do with this.
Are you going to release the spoiler gauntlet?
Yes. Let's spoiler free at this point, at this timestamp.
So I guess wrapping it up, as you were saying?
Does Hawkeye need to be fixed? If so, can he be fixed?
I think he'll be fixed.
But how?
I think it takes Avengers 4.
But what from Avengers 4? Because I think
he needs just
because we don't
he
need
needs more. He needs more humanity. You need to show more humanity.
What more humanity can you give? Like I think giving like just throwing a secret family at him that's like as humanity as you can get. I feel.
I don't know.
I don't think I can really come to an agreement here on the how. Because
so you don't think he can be fixed? You think he's already?
I think it's been too long. I think
he's been broken.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. People were not that big into Thor, but Thor Ragnarok did a crazy course correction, but it made sense from what came before. You know, like the way he interacts and talks with people, his language. You can kind of justify that by being like, oh, he's hanging out with Tony Stark and those people. He's kind of more of a lighter character now, whereas like Hawkeye, he might get like spikes of development, but it's not a gradual level thing. So I don't know. I feel like Avengers 4 might be like if Age of Ultron was a reboot of Hawkeye, then Avengers 4 will be like a second reboot of Hawkeye, which I think kind of shows that maybe they kind of messed up with him. Mm-hmm. And, it's probably Joss Whedon's fault, since he was, like, the main guy who, like, wrote Hawkeye in these movies.
I think one of the things that could have been done would have been make him kind of like, if you're living in this universe, you're kind of, like, confused about certain things. So, like, when Tony and Bruce are working on things, it's like, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah,
this is some weird shit. And then that would have fed into the quote that he says to Scarlet Witch, of like we're in the sky, we're flying, we're on a floating city, we're flying, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
It's like Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters. Like, I just want a paycheck. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. Well, I guess we're kind of wrapping this up. I don't think we've come to, like... I think we agree that Hawkeye is not very well done in these movies, and...
There's a better incarnation of him in the comics.
Yeah, we have some ideas on how to fix him, but, like, we're not necessarily in agreement with how to.
And we don't know how Avengers 4 will take it.
We're not writing the damn thing. Thank God. So.
Maybe all of what we said gets encompassed, and some combination of it, and he's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna bury this episode in a time capsule. We'll dig it back up after May 3rd, 2019, and we'll see if we're right or wrong. So before we go, you can follow me at Compenderizer on Twitter.
You can follow me at the Pizza Taco on Twitter.
You can keep an eye out for at Marvel News Desk. I'm a contributor there because I don't remember what my Twitter handle is. I haven't used it in years.
I thought you were just looking at it on your computer.
Yeah, but I still don't remember. I've only listened to my feed.
That's pretty funny.
I'm trying to remember it. I'm just remembering it, but I will get back. And Chris will probably put it.
All right. We will see you next week or whenever the hell we post the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.